Greetings. Okay. Greetings to you. Greetings on this Wednesday. Wednesday, it's good to know that you are there. It's good to know that a lot of you are still in that positive mood. And a lot is going on around the world, but my focus is Guyana. My focus is making sure that I am consistent in what I have taken up and forever is now going to fill that void of a voice of honesty, transparency, and only for the people. Rightly so. I work for the people, not for the government, not for a political party, not for a special interest, not for the government. I have no donors. I have no super PAC that is backing me. I have no funders, just the people. So due to that, I'm uncensored. I am only a respecter of the people. So consider me your mouthpiece. I am Dr. Love Prasad, your precious gift. And this is Uncensored Guyana. Let me say this. What's his name again? Terrence Campbell. Mr. Terrence Campbell, who is a just come. And he's made his way into the PNC. I guess he's one of the persons, Mr. Campbell, one of the persons who caused the others to leave. The man is playing what you call the business of politics. I mean, he is a businessman, so he understands the ethics of manipulative business practices, because you can't be a businessman if you're stupid. For you to be a successful businessman, you have to know how to work the system. You have to know how to control people's mind. You have to know how to target your customer, your audience. You need to know what your product is and how to get that audience you're seeking, that market share, to patronize your products. You got to be clever. And since he is considered a successful businessman, I mean, not to the magnitude of the typical Indo-Guyanese businessman. I mean, the one at the top when it comes to now politics would be Azruddin Mohammed. But here we have another businessman, Terrence Campbell, who maybe he bribed his way, paid his way, seduced his way, I don't know, to the top of the list of the PNC. Now he's the leader of the faction of the PNC in the parliament. But guess what? I think Mr. Campbell's eyes are on the leadership of the PNC. He wants to be the next presidential candidate for 2030. I think Mr. Campbell wants to be the next presidential candidate. He thinks he has what it takes to win the Guyanese people over, the Guyanese electorate, to vote for the PNC. He is eyeing that. Whatever deals he has with Aubrey Norton, maybe when he becomes president, that's Mr. Campbell, he's going to call Norton back and say, you can be the prime minister or the vice president. But I believe that Terrence Campbell wants to be the chairman. He wants to be the lead, not the chairman, the leader of the PNC. I think that's where his eyes are. That's what he's targeting. I'll get back to that. Let the name stick in your mind for now. Look, I stand with the Americans when it comes to their war on drugs. I stand with them. It is okay for all of us. It is okay, or it was okay, for all of us to endorse the Americans' decision to execute a sanctioned plan or sentence on the Mohammed's family before the elections, broadcast it, use that to deter Guyanese voters from standing with that party. It was okay for a lot of us. We signed on to it. I'm one of them. We agreed, yes, this, even though we haven't seen, we the people haven't seen any evidence to support the Americans' claim that the Mohammeds were involved in gold smuggling, drug smuggling, Venezuela, Russia, China, whatever. We have seen no evidence, but yet we believe. We trust the American judgment. We trust their findings because we like, why would they do this? Why would they? Why? So we like, no, trust the white man. We agree, right? So American did what they had to do. The government of Guyana trusted the Americans. They provided the evidence, whatever, a paper trail. I don't know if the evidence that the Americans provide, the Ali government, if it involved audio, video footage, paper trail, signatures, confessions. I don't know. The government didn't make that evidence available to the public. But I'm saying, whatever they provided, it seemed to be enough to cause everybody in the government to stand by it. Say, yes, let's act on that. Good. If the Americans say now that the first boat they bombed out of the international waters off the coast of Venezuela had drugs, had fentanyl, had all these things, we need to believe them. They justify their reasons for bombing the hell out of those people. We need to believe them. If the Americans said again that there's on this other boat they bombed on Monday had drugs, we need to believe them. Isn't that what we do? Believe everything that comes out of the Americans? We believe them, right? Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. We believe them. Libya and all these other people, terrorists, we believed them. So there was no opposition to the many people that Obama bombed, George Bush bombed, Biden bombed. No evidence. They say these people, these countries are guilty. So we say, yes, America, if you say so. So why doubt them now? We have always had a history of believing what the Americans say. Why doubt them now? No. If they say that, hey, they have things, believe them. Bomb the hell out of them. Fine, do what you got to do. I'm not going to stand in opposition to that. Because we always believe them. Don't start doubting now. Okay? So be it a Republican government or a Democrat, they always bomb the hell out of people. Let's just accept that as a part of our reality when it comes to geopolitics, or when it comes to countries, or it is what it is. We hope that they don't do anything that the countries that we are connected to. So our governments need to like go with the flow. Go with the flow. Don't be talking stuff to piss off these people. Don't be all the tough guy talk to piss off these people, because when these politicians start to talk tough talk to piss off the Americans, who do you think suffers? The politicians? The country, the citizens, they suffer. So I would say, we just want to live and let others live. We just want to go about our daily lives provide for our families, have a chance of building our future, living in a safe country. Yes, we need the protection from the Americans because we have a shitty army. We don't have fighters. We have nothing. We can't even defend ourselves from the criminals in the country. How can we defend ourselves from the neighbors in the other countries? So we have to suck up to Americans and say, hey, whatever you do, praise to you. Just make sure that you're always there to watch our backs. And the Americans the Americans are not going to watch your back for nothing. Americans, they're opportunists. They're business people. That's a corporate entity. Business. That's it. Whatever brings the money. We have a lot of oil, a lot of natural resources. They need that. So, suck it up. And don't piss off the Americans. I beg you. Let them do what they got to do. We stand with the Americans. I'm talking on behalf of me, myself, and I. No to drugs. We have this new system in place. The same way all the Americans don't have the time and the patience to stop no boat, arrest no criminal, search no boat. They don't have the time for that shit. It's time consuming. They have done that for decades. They have done that forever. Did it stop the criminals? Did it slow down the drugs? Did it stop the transnational crime? No, it didn't. It didn't. So they reach a point where it's like, you know what, fuck it. Bomb the hell out of them. See how fast they stop doing this shit. Kill the criminals. And if that stuff don't stop the criminals from doing what they're doing from a particular country, then bomb the country. See how quick the governments are going to put their foot soldiers on the ground and search all them ghettos and all them neighborhoods that the government always know that is responsible for the crime, the drugs, the arms. You'll see how quick the governments would make sure they do what they have to do when the bombs start dropping on their countries. So for now, catch them in the waters. If it's a plane and you suspect that that plane is carrying a whole load of drugs, shoot the plane down. That's the American policy now. That's what you call war on drugs. I'm in with it. Like I said, kill the criminals and the crime stops. So anybody else who decides to take up that profession of smuggling drugs by boat to the United States, they know they have to leave their will behind. They have to sign what you call this document that they accept the fate that comes with that chance. Because the fate that comes with that is death, punishable by death. So Donald Trump, hats off to you. Bomb the hell out of them. They'll stop. Now, to Guyana. It's unfair politics, you know. It is. Everything about it is wrong. Everything about it is wrong. When you look at situations from a different standpoint, when you look at situations from a different position, everything about it is wrong. You know, I hate to see the motivation. I hate to see how this inspires the average person to want to get involved. And what I'm talking about here is every government, literally every administration. We haven't had much. We've just had PPP and PNC, you know, different times and all these other people. I understand. It may have taken a rich man to start a party and for him to get the money to continue that party unless he is like Azruddin Muhammad, unless he is like that, where he funds his own party, he funds the whole movement, and he hire people to be involved in his initial team, his intimate team that he started his party with, and his company or his business or his organization is paying these people. That's a different case. But when you have a case whereby the previous political parties, where they would have elected representatives and things like that, it just seemed like it's a track, it's a path that they all take, that the only people who are appointed are persons who are from the upper class, not middle class, upper class. It's historically so that when new governments, be it the PNC or PPP, takes the seat of power, the people that they seem to always appoint for the top positions, like minister and directors and deputy and stuff, are people from the upper class. How is that inspirational for the poor, for the average class, the middle class? How is that? How does that inspire the people at that level to say that one day that they will maybe reach that level? How does it get there? You know, it has the same tone like what they do in these developed countries when it comes to athletes. They wait until you struggle, build yourself up, find your way to the top. You have already established a foundation that with or without their help, you still would have made it because you came through the struggle and you're now at this level. Only then they can recognize you. Only then they see you as competent. Only then they think you are worthy to be in their camp. Only then. Now, how many people have that fortune? How many people? In the West, the people who would have or join the club, they have to be the Michael Jordans, the Mike Tysons. But for them to get to the club, they would have, they had to have secured for themselves by their talent hundreds of millions of dollars. They had to have a certain amount in their bank account. That was like a security amount. It's like unless you have achieved, let's say, $100 million, you really can't get here. We consider you a lower caste. We can't trust you. You don't you. So whenever these guys are in this club and they're being promoted, it's not that they're liked by the powers that be, it's that they have achieved by themselves first a certain level standard. So the powers that be take them over and sell the narrative as though they helped them to get there, when in fact they didn't. Those people struggled on their own, became rich. The only time they were recognized is after they became rich. Therein lies my question. What could a government appointment do for a rich man? What could a minister position do for a millionaire? How could he benefit more or less after he would have already become a millionaire? How? I mean, isn't it common sense that if you're going to hand out charity, you're going to hand out charity for the persons who have never had the opportunity? Give them a chance to at least make something for themselves, sponsor them. Would you hand out charity to the person who already have the organization, owns the organization? You're giving him charity so that he can give somebody else charity? How does that inspire the average citizen? This is why most of the time the citizens are always ready to stand up against politicians, against governments. This is why you find they're always complain towards governments that, oh, it's just the elite class, it's the business class, it's a 1% always controlling things. Always, no matter what government comes, it's the 1% always controlling things. And you wonder why. But yet the politicians keep doing this shit. It's like they have no regards for people's sentiments. Every time when they are in opposition, they're the ones who point the fingers. Yes, look at that. The government, the friends of the government, look at that. It's like the average person has no chance. The average person, you put the rich to lead the poor. Every government, when they were in, before they become government, when they were in opposition, they accuse the one in power of those practices. But when they get into power, they do the same shit. The same shit they do. When will it end? Let me give you a typical example. We have the prime minister, brigadier. You hear what his title is? Brigadier, the head of the army. The head of the army is the most privileged position for any army officer. He has the jackpot of privileges. However long he would have stayed in that position, those are the amount of years he would have enjoyed the privileges. He is the richest in terms of benefits from the military, the richest. He gets all the privileges. He's like the president, diplomat. He gets his own everything. He enjoys. When he retires with the full benefits of the army. Full benefits. Him, his family, everybody in line. Financially secured, economically secured. Everything is set for that brigadier. Now, I want to convince myself as to when you take somebody who's already retired, who lived their life, enjoy the spoils of life, enjoys whatever the achievement, whatever it is, they enjoy. And then you take them after they retire, when they would have made the place available for somebody else to enjoy that suite, and you put them in another position higher than where they were before, even after they would have retired, to get 10 times more the benefit of what they got before at that level. How do you justify that? How does that inspire the average citizen? It's a tall order. It's a high aim. Is like, no, you don't be stupid. You can't aim for that. You can't reach that. The average citizen can't. That is one position he can't dream. Can't dream. So it's not a good inspiration to the average citizen. In his mind, it's like, man, you had 10 wives. All 10 give you 10 kids. You have 100 kids. You are 70 years old. You enjoy 10 different wives, plus all the girlfriends. You enjoy everything they had to do with sex. You're maxed out. Now at 70 years old, if you want to enjoy a pussy, you got to use some Viagra because your body is telling you, hey man, retire, chill. Chill. Once a month is good for you. Once every 2 months is good for you. Don't go trying to hit every week. You've had it. And just because of some kind of connection, or just because if there's an opportunity to use this 70-year-old grandfather that had lived his life, he gets the virgin that's 16 years old. You're like, what the fuck? I mean, how do you get the virgin? Well, I'm 70 years old. I got 100 kids. I understand women. I know what women want. So when he would have gone there and used up the virgin with his Viagra dick, and he's 80 years old, he took 10 years, reaped the benefit. Then he's going to retire the pussy and say, you know what? Well, give it to some guy, man. Then another man comes and he feels he's lucky. He feels he's blessed. It's something like that. That scenario. This is what when politics is rewarding the successful. This is what you talk about. The billionaires or the millionaires continue to get rewards from politics for whatever reason. For whatever reason. And they use these people to manipulate the weak minded. I don't see how Brigadier Mark Phillips is a symbol to black people. I don't see. I don't see how he's a symbol. I don't see how him being there can influence black people. I don't see. What is it about him? If this man, Mark Phillips, was such a symbol, was so influential to the black community, you wouldn't have a problem with black men or women wanting to join the army. The army would be flooding with people. Same thing with Granger and the others. When these people would have used up their position in whatever capacity, retire them, let them stay retired. To bring them back into public life, to take up space that could have very well be occupied by somebody of substance, it is not encouraging people. This is why every election you're losing votes, meaning voter turnout. People are turned off. You have the next case. These ministers that are recycled. Let's skip that. Let's get to one Edgell, Bishop One Edgell. He is and was a successful pastor or bishop for years. He wasn't broke. He was not broke. He had no need that he needed to have some government job because he has to balance his, but no. He was a rich pastor, mega church for years. For years. He had no need of shit. If you want people like that to fill certain government position, even though it's a breach of Christian ethics, you can have maybe consultation, like a consultant or advisor in whatever field. But to have a bishop, a religious person who that's all he had done his life, bishop in, Christian bishop, church, that's all he ever knew. To have him take over a ministry that deals with public works, infrastructure. What is the justification of that? You need some honesty in the ministry. You need some God in the ministry. You need to influence some Christian builders. There is no justification. Really, there's none. Wouldn't you have somebody who is maybe just graduated in civil engineering or have some experience in that department, working with the government, who understood the infrastructure of the country, who have that experience working with the government? Because ministerial positions are public servant positions. They might be a political appointment, but they're serving the public. It's a public service capacity. And the salaries that you would get as a minister, you obviously would make much more in private practice, much more. Then what justifies a millionaire wanting to become a minister? What's the incentive? You are a millionaire already. You mean you're going to step out of your business to become a public servant? For what? How does that help your business, or does it? Or does it? So to have a bishop in that capacity, where is the justification? It would have been suitable that you have somebody in the Ministry of Public Works, maybe the chief engineer, who would have been there for 15 years or 20 years, who knows all the ins and outs of, he's totally oriented. It would have been better to take that person and elevate them as the manager, meaning minister from the Ministry of Public Works. They could also be political appointments, but you bring them through the ranks. That is what motivates people. That's where you get the cooperation. He's a favorite chief of engineer. He's a favorite of the ministry. Everybody loved him because he's there for all these years. He's the one you make the minister. Whatever he earned it based on government salary. And then he deserves whatever benefits comes as being a minister. That's the one you elevate. The people who would have been on your party list, let them be members of parliament. Members of parliament. That's what they're there for. There is no law that says you need to make ministers people who are on your political list to campaign. There's no rule that says you have to do that. Minister's post is a public service capacity, not a politician capacity, public servant. A political organization or the government can appoint a minister, but you don't have to take somebody that is a total square peg to fill that wrong hole. And political appointments that all the ministries have gotten so far, they're fucking square pegs. Square peg. That's why they don't function. They can't perform. So when you have all these ministries, you're putting overseer to run these ministries that are totally clueless. Clueless. That's why they need advisors, because they are clueless. And the advisors that they have or usually get are people who are in the ministry for decades. That if they were elevated to the minister's post, they wouldn't need advisors. They know the whole thing. But when you put people like these zero experience ministers, you appoint them to certain ministries, they need advisors. And imagine these are the people who advise the president. The ministers who are clueless are advising a president who himself needs the experience. But all the people who get the minister's post in every government are people who have already made it. They have money in the bank. They have been successful, however they have been successful. They made their money. You're putting them there to make more money? How can they justify they want a free flight to the United States? They want free gas. They want free food, free groceries. They want free this and free that. You can fucking afford it. Before you became minister, you could afford it. You're rich, you can afford it. What's the difference with getting it for free? You're still going to use that money for something else that you don't need. Elevate people who came through the ranks, who struggled to grow in the particular ministries. Let me digress, not digress, let me slant here. Ajuddin Mohammed again, I'll go back to him. He's a billionaire who earned his money. And I'm not going to speak on, I'm not going to speak on accusations. I'm done with that shit. I'm not going to speak on accusations. I'll say this. Ajuddin Mohammed is the billionaire, the successful businessman who absolutely has need for nothing. He don't need anything. They have controlled politicians since before he was born. He don't need to be the president. They used to own the president. What justification can you in your right mind give yourself for voting or wanting to elect a billionaire? What's your justification for that? He's going to help you to get rich? Are you fucking serious? You're telling me you believe that the billionaire, who by virtue of him being a billionaire meant that he only helped himself to become a billionaire, that billionaire suddenly will get convicted overnight and believe that, hey, maybe I should help somebody else to be a billionaire? You think that's how it works? For people to get rich, they have to keep others poor. That's how it works. For people to get rich, they have to make a lot of people poor. You don't get rich because God loves you. All the people who are rich, ask them how they got rich. Ask them how. They might take a loan from the bank because they inherit some property from their parents who would have gotten the land for free. Their parents got the land for free, legitimized the whole process of the land, got a transport, go to the bank, say, hey, we want to take a loan on this property. To do what? Well, we need to sell some stuff. And that parent mortgaged that land for $1 million. They decide to start some chicken, raise some chicken. They now, father and mother, work the chicken farm themselves. For 20 years, they save the money, save the money, save the money. They have no staff to pay. Save the money, save the money. They expanded it. They go take more loans. Next chicken farm. Now they hire people now. If the actual pay that they budget is 20,000 a month, that's the legal standard, 20,000 a month. They decide to pay 10,000 a month. They still save 10,000 there. And you have 100 workers, and you get a 10,000 cut plus your profit plus your benefits. 10,000. You multiply that into years. At the end of 5 or 10 years, they are millionaires because of this, because of the dishonesty in underpaying their workers, the dishonesty of not paying the taxes, the dishonesty of making bad deals or selling spoiled chicken. They get rich. Now the children come, learn from the tricks, just follow the legacy. Now they're legitimate businessmen. And on that mentality and that practice, they jumped into politics. How do you think those kinds of people will change because you say so? They wouldn't. They would never change. Because when they get there, they understand that the body, his body, who sells the chicken, he and his body is tight. And since the government needs to buy chicken to feed them dumb prisoners, or the government needs to buy chicken to do whatever with it, who is the best person to give this deal? My body. Because when I give my body that deal, my body's going to inflate the price. Because if it's like $10, my body's like $1,000. So guess what? 500 comes to me, and my body gets the 500. But he takes out the 10, which is the real price. So my body makes $490. Who is paying for that? The same poor people that the billionaire promised to make rich. And they still believe it. Governments come and governments go, and they still believe that these guys would actually make them rich. It doesn't work like that. All the people who keep filling certain ministerial positions, they are connected to businesses. They're connected. There's nothing that is disconnected there. All are connected. So whatever ministries these people fill, their bodies benefit because they're the one who have to sign off on contracts, sign off on deals, sign off on this. That's where the money comes. So what we do as voters, we help them to get more rich. This is why you find that external persons are never included. You might think they have a different look. No, they're connected. They are always connected. But my base for this is none of the persons who are elected or selected for certain ministries or junior ministries, they're not broke. There are people who have achieved, they have accomplished stuff. They're just there now for the interest of whoever their sponsors are. They're there for the protection and the benefit of their sponsors. So what happens? Let's look at America to give you an idea. Housing in America is a big deal. Hundreds of billions of dollars in housing that the government finances. The people who always cry out for lack of housing, the people who make the most noise when it comes to housing and apartment and so on are black people. So what do? They put a black man as a housing secretary or minister. So when a black man is there as a housing secretary, the black people are calmed down. Their hope is rising. They believe that, wow, he's one of us. Now we're going to get a house. He's going to look after us. No. They just put him there to calm you down. But just like Obama, just like all the others, the crisis gets worse because when it comes to the housing project, the people who have the companies that builds the houses, the people who are the real estate giants are white people. So when that housing secretary signs off on contracts, they go to the white companies. But you as a typical black, you think, oh my gosh, is a black minister is going to help us. It never works. Only after they're gone, then the other one comes and say, you see, discrimination, but they do the same shit. In Guyana, it's no different. Because the largest group that follows the People's Progressive Party are Indo-Guyanese, you find a lot of Indo-Guyanese faces, but how the presence of those rich ministers help the poor? I saw something the other day. A neighborhood, somewhere in Berbice. That's a largely neglected county, largely neglected. The PNC neglect Berbice, the PPP neglect Berbice. Anyway. I saw a house there in this neighborhood. And what I saw, it touched me. Because I'm thinking to myself, this man was saying that he's a diehard PPP for how many years? He's his father, then he comes and but him being a diehard PPP didn't transform his life into middle class. No. Every government, from the Jagdeo government to the Granger to the past 5 years of President Ali, discriminated against him. Every government. Because when he shows up at certain ministries, they treat him like everybody else. They don't care that you're a diehard PPP. They don't care about that. They treat him like everybody else. And access was denied. He couldn't get access. His father lived in poverty. He lived in poverty, and his kids are living in poverty. And don't get this twisted. He's a smart guy, a teacher. His kids went to college. Do you know how things changed for him? His children migrated to the United States. Not because the government helped them, because he and his wife struggled and sent them. His children migrated to the United States. And by virtue of working in the United States, his kids saved money, sent for both him and his wife in America. His mindset was, fuck the house, fuck Guyana, leave it as it is. Because his passion in supporting the PPP all the years didn't change his life. It took his kids going to America, struggling in a white man's land, that helped him to have some kind of decency when it comes to living. And he's like, that's how it is. And there are hundreds of thousands like him. Simply because all these people who take certain public position, they didn't earn it. They didn't earn it. Like this guy, this new minister of, was it, labor guy, who said that the president called him the day before the swearing in, called him randomly and say, hey, I want you for this. But you look at the man's track record. He wasn't broke. This is making the rich get richer. If the president called a man who already had achieved a lot, for what? Make him richer. Expertise. Unequal distribution. Unequal distribution. I can understand you need to reward those who may have, made contribution to the party. But the public at large, they identify with political parties for many reasons. And a large amount of them don't have membership cards. Their names are not in the book. When they go to fill a form up, it doesn't say political identity. It doesn't. They just emotionally attach themselves to a political party for that purpose. Identity. They feel like they belong to something. But there's nothing enshrined in their DNA to say that this is their identity. You can't look at someone and say, oh, that is a PNC, that's a PPP. If you do that, you're racial. You are a racist. You're profiling people. Because if you look at someone because they're Indo-Guyanese and say, he's a PPP. Why? Well, he's Indo-Guyanese. That's racist. If you look at someone and say, oh, it's a PNC. Why? Oh, he's Afro-Guyanese. That's racist. There's no way of knowing. But politicians assume if you're Indian, you have to stand with the PPP. If you're African, you have to stand with the PNC. Why? For what reason? Whoever goes there, they have to administer services. My thing is, how do you inspire the population? When every time the people who take certain position of privilege are those who have already lived privileged lives. You want to help the poor man, then take a poor man who has a master's degree and make him a minister. He already has the qualification. He went through the university. He's a headmaster at the school. For example, let's say like the president's father, Sir Ali. I don't know him personally, but I've been to his classes. My brother recalled the other day, he was talking to me. He says, man, well, my brother was kind of, he was a little hard of hearing. And he was he told me, he says, do you know how many times Sir Ali whooped his ass? I said, I know. He said, Sir Ali he never mix matters. You fuck around, he's like, okay. Okay. He calls you or he comes to that class you're at. He would come to your class with a whip and beat you in front of all the kids. That's Sir Ali, the president's father. Now, a man that is as disciplined as that, experienced as Sir Ali, I would make somebody like that Minister of Education. He's not a politician. That's why he would have been a damn good Minister of Education, Sir Ali. Now he's retired, of course. But I'm speaking in context here. If I wanted advisors to a minister who would have been maybe a headmaster from some school, I would have people like Sir Ali advise the ministry on policies, on programs, because the man has a reputation of discipline. But how the heck can you have a politician who have no class whatsoever advise somebody on morals? In that respect, I'm talking. All the ministries, doesn't matter. It matters not which ministry. You take people who have a history working in the ministry and you elevate them to the positions of minister. They're the ones you elevate. So if you want advisors like this minister, this labor minister, he has a background in law, then you have people like that on the legal team, because every ministry needs to have a legal team to advise on legal matters. That's what you do with them. You have a law background, you have, yeah, okay, legal advisor, because that's all they can advise you on, the law. You have a ministry of health, but you have a minister who's not a doctor. I mean, he is a doctor, but not a medical doctor. You're dealing with health. So if you're dealing with health, wouldn't you want to have, for example, we have a lot of doctors who may have had their own hospitals. Let's say, for example, you have Dr. Balwant Singh Hospital. If we have like Dr. Balwant Singh Hospital, and Dr. Balwant Singh, and please don't go making stupid comments. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm making an example, okay? Figuratively speaking. Dr. Balwant Singh. Let's say Dr. Balwant Singh is in his 40s or even 50s. Let's give it 60s. He's a man of 60 or 65, whatever it is. He's around that age. And he established a successful hospital. Somebody like that, you make minister of health. Somebody like Dr. Balwant, you make a minister of health. You have the Georgetown Public Hospital, the public service, the public health sector. You have prominent practitioners in the public sector, health sector, Georgetown Hospital, who have decades of experience providing public care, public health care. They ran the hospital for decades. They have the know-how. People like that you elevate to the status of minister because they know the whole system. People like that is what you elevate. Yeah, you may have Nandalal Attorney General, but why did you get a judge? Somebody who would have been a high court judge. Okay, chancellor, per se, again, figuratively speaking. Understand the points I'm making here. Ministry of Legal Affairs. Somebody who's a chancellor, acting chancellor, who would have been acting for 10 years. You retire that person from chancellor and say, hey, I would like you to be the Minister of Legal Affairs. You make a chancellor because they have the know-how, they know the system in out. They're the ones you elevate. But you elevate the people from within. From within. We have to cut this out with just rewarding the rich. It's politics, both sides. PNC, PPP, same fucking politics. The only one now we see like they're rewarding the poor, and not rewarding the poor, because a lot of the people who jumped ship and went to win, they're independent too. They're financially secure. They earn their due. They're just hustlers. But the whole system is built on the rich and for the rich. This is why the poor is always excluded. Always excluded. They want the poor people to trust the businessman. You can't get that shit work like that. You need to convince the poor, get somebody who is in poverty, elevate them. You go to some ghetto, some neighborhood where it's a slum, and you browse the area. Who is the best in your community? Oh yeah, Tom. Tom is good. Tom is like the best. He's decent. Okay, good. Come, Tom. Got a job for you. I want you to be in the council for the government at this level. That's what boosts that ego, boosts the pride of that community. You get them there. All the others were like, hey, I want to be like Tom. I want to be like Tom. Yes. You inspire the poverty in that area. Because everybody now has a real hero to look up to. But you're always shoving down the people's throats, successful people. Business this, business that, business this. None of these guys are broke. Look at the PNC team. Look at the PNC team that have gone to parliament. Look at them. Which one of them are broke? Am I saying that you need broke people? You need people who can inspire the poor. That's what you need. People who can inspire the average citizens. None of these guys can do that. None of them. Look at the history of the elections and voting. The fact that less and less people are coming out to vote, it means that the politicians are shitty. People don't want anything more to do with politics, and that's dangerous for the country. That is dangerous for the country. Because when the good people decide to stay back, the bad ones make the choices. And when the bad ones make the choices, who do you get? Win in the parliament. Because the sensible people who can make a difference, who use their mindset, who use their faculties to make decisions, they decide to stay home. And the ones who work on emotions, just the way they feel, they go out and they vote based on their feelings. And what you get is win. Azrin Muhammad and crowd. That's what you get. So until we can start appealing to the conscience of the decent-minded, hard-working Guyanese citizen, the next election is a bunch of assholes you get in the parliament again. Because the voting crowd will shrink and keep shrinking. And on elections day, when you have a an electorate of 600,000, only 200,000 might go out to vote. And the 200,000 is representative of a concentrated group that only objective is to do mischief. And anything that sounds nice to them and friendly to them, they're like, hey, I like that. It got to be thuggish, gangsterish. You know, this nasty politics, this back and forth. That crowd can identify with that kind of language. They love it. So politicians who can sound like that get their support. But the intelligent, the decent-minded people who really want to make a difference would say, oh, we don't have time with that, man. These guys are the same. I can't identify with these people. They don't speak for us. But look at what it is now. Look at what it is now. People don't want to hear from politicians anymore. Look when politicians go to speak in any public event online. Look at who clicks on it. People don't click anymore. They don't want to hear. Because to them is a bunch of garbage. You're telling us stuff we don't even understand. You try to make yourself sound intelligent. We don't give a shit about that, because when we look at the reality, it's only a small group can afford to live in certain neighborhoods, can afford to have maximum security, can afford to fly anywhere. Their kids can afford to go to Queen's College and other special schools. And when you appoint these people in government offices, you look at you do a deep dive. You do a deep dive into their history. You find that they're connected. They're connected to some ex-minister, some ex-this, some former this, all connected. Nothing is coincidental. Nothing is accidental. It's all a connected strain, and it's kept within the family. It's kept within a certain group. And you want to inspire people to trust politicians or trust government. The day will come If this shit don't stop, 2030, you think the turnout last September was low? Wait until 2030. If that guy, Terrence Campbell, becomes the next head of the PNC, you can forget about black people. Forget about them. If Win is on the same path that they were before, they come with that same playbook, you can forget about that. And if the PPP don't work overnight to change the perception, more Indo-Guyanese will stay home, more Afro-Guyanese will stay home, and the number of voter turnout in 2030 would be so low that they might have to just forget about elections. Forget about elections. Because people have completely, totally lost confidence in the system. Money changes the lives of people. The only thing that can change the lives of people is money. Money can. They must feel that they are directly rewarded. Directly rewarded. It can't be fair that a small group of people can earn money while they sleep, and the larger group have to go out in the sun, neglect their family, lose their relationships. They got to be toiling and toiling and toiling, and still at the end of their life, when they reach retirement, they still can't pay their rent. They might get a government house, but they still can't pay the installment. No matter how low it is, they still can't pay it. It's unfair. But yet, politicians are telling those people to trust them. To trust them. It's unfair. Now, I have enough time to give suggestions as to how we can change that. And like I said, no, I'm saying it. I'm not speaking for any government. I'm not talking to any government. So get it clear. Whatever the government is doing is perfect for you guys. Perfect. So I'm not speaking to any government. I'm just talking to people. No government, no politician. These guys are doing the best. They're the greatest. It's like, wow, perfect. Thumbs up. So don't take it personal. I'm talking to you. No, you're doing good. Keep up the good work. Bravo. Perfecte. Keep it up. I'm speaking to you. Now I'm talking to people. And like I said before, 2030 is just around the corner. Before you know it, poor people will have poor people will hear inside, is anybody home? Yeah, what do you want? Oh, we're here from the party and we would like to share our flyer with you. This is our manifesto from 2030, 2025. Yes, and can we talk to you for a moment? That's what you'll get pretty soon. Like you always get. Since nobody listens to me, nobody watches my video. Yeah, since I don't even have subscribers. Nobody watches me. Nobody listens to me. So I have no influence on anything, no impact, no influence on anything. Don't worry. No political party will lose votes because of my voice. Of course not. I have no influence. I'm just simple Dr. Love Prasad. Why get nervous? Nobody cares. Come on, guys. You know nobody listens to me. What influence do I have? I'm at some other place. Don't bother with it. Keep doing what you're doing. You have your support. You have your followers. You have your base. And they'll keep electing you. Don't bother. Don't worry about it. Until next time, this is Dr. Locke saying, unequal distribution of wealth, terrible thing. So on the next broadcast, we'll deal with the real estate market and land distribution, and we'll deal with that. I want to know that people have housing and things like that, and I don't care about, politicians got to do what they got to do. I actually need Guyanese to earn more, because you see, nobody is sending me any donation because they can't afford it. So if people are rich, I'm good. I can't sit back and see people struggle and suffer. It means I will suffer, because the people, right, like you guys say, the people who should be compensating me or paying me are my followers, and they're not doing that. It means that they can't afford it. So I have to fight for them so they can be rewarded. And by them being rewarded, then they can say, hey, doc, I have this check for you. Hey, doc, I have this for you. Isn't it smart? Isn't it? Doesn't it make sense? I can't fight for the rich because they are greedy. I have to fight for the poor because they're the ones who are generous. And since they can't afford it, I got to fight for them. To the rest of you, don't bother. Your contracts will still keep coming. 2030 is, I can see it. I can see 2030. I can see it. It's just there. Just there. Yeah.